I'm gonna not parrot what I say, but dovetail the thing of what yesterday I left off with. Prominent effects, sonar, and the echo effect. These are what the animal kingdom used to be ever so fruitful in change. Back to Darwin, and then onwards and so forth. When there's foreign affairs and then there's special interest, this is a thing that's across the board, applied on all platforms, from the animal kingdom to your backyard. But when there's truth in something, you don't have to start at the same point and be aligned. The more different you are from a person and you arrive at the same conclusions, and you're finishing each other's sentences at the climax of where the discussion would seem to be so prolific, that's when you know you both are entering the zone of truth. And so just trying the alliance of being aligned, right? I'm trying to avoid this interplay of pointing fingers and having everyone as peacocks to try and go in between the finger pointing. And it's, we're like, yeah, you take a bit of what the most prominent ones are, and then, so it's not like this whole color of law, and then in the color of law, how that runs over into algorithms on social media, digital media bases, it's an entire new landscape. And so in a bodily autonomy, you can hone in into the scaling and the symmetries, where if they're in general relativity, they're saying oh yeah, there's no age and it's just a really accurate metric. And so that's probably the same with these physical alignments, with your whole spine and your brain giving the nervous system, and your nervous system, how many things that you're tolerant of is a real attribute, where its value, of course, is on fight or flight, your reptilian brain. It's inevitable. But if you're measuring these things out in a way that's pro-human, it's probably best that we get on the same team, because I'm on your same damn team. Where it works in conditions, as long as it is above 0 Kelvin and under the speed of light. And I mentioned yesterday, under the influence of something, and it's just like this giant game of getting dizzy because it's your blood recirculating to normalcy again. Dress my hair real quick, if I will. If you're not gonna wear a hat and bog it, press it down, even wearing hair clips in it, your hair will look good if you do. But there's a big decision where if you don't, you're gonna have to try and stylize what cowlicks are. A cowlick is when you have a bedhead, and then there's areas inside the bedhead that correlate to looks like your hair got licked by a cow, and it stays that way. And so you're able to pull this off if there's a low amount of interference. And so in choosing one or the other, I did half and half, so it's probably going to look twice as bad. That being mentioned, how the digital at the start, well, this card would allow you it, but you have to activate it with an app or on the website. And so now you're going to get this physical attribute of a card, and then this literal physical property of food and drink, and then it's by word of mouth, and this person was saying the wrong thing, so it's this. The map, laying down a roadmap, is a different thing. It's a straight line, but it was so prolific that it's equivalent to being under the influence of the strongest thing, and so all the logic in the world would be his world in ours. They become one-dimensional, and then it's this whole detoxifying thing where everything you eat in your entire life, you're always digesting. Like, so even from when you're just a cell, a few cells as a zygote, you're been digesting through like that tube that was like connected to the belly or whatever, how that works, umbilical cords, so this whole thing with Gum Shooter is like he has this pictorial. Okay, well, there's like this whole thing with this puppet like landscaping where like probably the handle of this stuff is the space junk. I want to clear it out. Probably it's already it. So that would be like, I was even ahead of our time. Even though he's just keeping ahead of time. That would be the funniest thing ever. And so in the sense that like, yeah, on the internet, I was saying how like there's all these different landscapes with eclipsing, and I was just getting really like paganistic. Probably because this guy keeps walking around taking pictures of this glass ball and saying it, how like distorted everything is, and that's like how pagans' actual ritual becomes this manifestation of something that isn't real but looks nice. And so I think that's like part of this whole thing where I was writing. But this whole thing that I was writing was that it's a special effect and it's not even aligned, it's just put over. And so if that's what all storms are, and this whole weathering the storm aspect, it's physically like in the anatomy could be true in congruency in the same aspect that outside this whole ghost in the machine thing, there's like physical properties where stuff fires off. Like it has to do with a lot in antennas and how they're like got these certain shapes and they have these physical degrees. With the jurisdictions of anatomy, that's a whole nother landscape. What's